Next, processing. This is the act of understanding, decoding, bringing it in, and it also has been changed. Traditional texts rely upon linear, word-for-word decoding. However, in new text, this processing can be linear, it can be nonlinear, and it can also be strategic. In other words, the reader, the viewer, is invited to employ any number of decoding strategies depending upon the one that best meets his or her needs, time, and familiarity with the subject. One of the first formal studies to document these kinds of changes was done by the Poynter Institute in 1991. The name of the study was called Eyes on the News. And as you can see, the subject was rigged to a machine that tracked eye movements and then reported those eye movements to a computer. The computer in turn recorded where the eyes went, how long they stayed there, and what, if anything, they read in that document. And the survey says 90% of readers enter a page via the artwork or titles. Now, that goes back to what we were talking about regarding the importance of providing multiple entry points to the reader. The study also found that adding visual elements to a text triples the likelihood that the text will be read. So the study found that you, the writer, can help the reader recall the information and to understand it better by adding infographics or other visual elements. Any technique with that much promise to increase your effectiveness should be of an intense interest to you. This next set of results reaffirms a point we've already made about the new literacy, the incredible shrinking text. These numbers are sobering at best. 80% of readers are aware of artwork. 75% of readers are aware of photographs. 56% were aware of the headlines. 25% looked at the text. And the really bad news, only 13% actually bothered reading an article's text. The incredible shrinking article. Clearly, this study and others like it have reversed the traditional notion of the importance of text in today's documents. Now you see why that editor of Vigor chose to put only 72 words on a page or pages costing $50,000. Or why the Fortune editor designed a, quote, article that was essentially without words. Were they using their money and resources wisely? Yes, they were. They were creating documents for the new literacy. Another famous study comes from the godfather of usability on the web, Jakob Nielsen. In his study measuring the effect of improved web writing, Nielsen looked at the readability of 4 different ways of saying the same thing. Now here in the top section, you have the basic information that was presented about tourist attractions in Nebraska. But this same set of facts was presented in 3 more different ways, each one giving different results. By taking the same text and simply changing its layout to a chunked style without changing any words, there was a 47% increase in readability. But taking that same text and simply reducing the number of words without changing the layout resulted in a 50% increase in readability, indicating how important those 2 elements are. The visual style plus the spare style. Now, this last one. When the scannable layout was combined with the concise text, readability was increased by 124%. Is it any surprise, given the prevalence and the importance of these changes, that new businesses are being created around them? These are indeed important business opportunities. One business that I'd like to focus on just briefly is called informationmapping.com. As its name implies, the company teaches writers how to transform a typical memo like this one, and it is well written. There are your short block paragraphs, all done according to traditional, conventional rules of text print literacy. But what if you could redesign the same words and dramatically increase the number of people who read the memo in its entirety, who understood what they read at a strong or 80% level, and, most important, if you could increase the likelihood those people would take the effective required action. Now, here is InfoMap's version of the same memo. Notice that it provides a case study in the use of visual space, progression, and differentiation. Chunks are created by the clearly written headings, problem, effect, possible solution, next step. Visual space is indicated by the rules or lines between each of those sections. Look at the clear visual progression throughout the memo, even contained in the nested list at the bottom that is within this larger list. List within list. Whenever InfoMapping.com reveals its studies that show that the version on the right leads to 47% higher compliance, believe me, potential clients want to know more. So, why is this happening? Why are these changes taking place? The answer today is the same as it's been throughout history. Changes in literacy always follow changes in technology used for the literacy. Whether it is the berry juice of the Paleolithic drawings on the cave at Altamira, or the reed stylus pressed into a slab of beeswax to produce the cuneiform of the ancient Sumerians, as it was in the scribal age when literacy was confined to monasteries and manuscripts were handwritten, or whether it was the first typewriters in the era of hot lead, the printing press, so it is today in the era of cold lead, known as the digital age. The answer is always the same. Technology and literacy are two sides of the same coin. Change one and you change the other. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Neither one. They're the same thing. Which changes more, technology or literacy? Neither one. They're the same thing. The sweeping changes of digital technology have created this need for the new literacy and the employment of the features of this new literacy in the documents that you will be expected to produce. So, let's summarize this new document literacy as presented in this presentation. First, delete it. After you've written a document, go back and delete every possible word that you can. Use as few words as possible. In today's world, write less, not more. And delete it doesn't mean just cutting out unneeded words and tightening phrases. It also means identifying those things that you can say visually so that you no longer need the words. 2, chunk it means looking at all of the information that you wish to convey and finding ways to divide it up into discrete units that could stand by themselves. And then 3, once you've identified those chunks, design it. Use the tools of visual space, visual progression, and visual differentiation to arrange those chunks so that they have a unity of effect and provide your reader with the multiple points of entry and the flexibility to use their strategic reading skills of the new literacy. And after you've done that, step back and welcome yourself to the revolution.